We previously discussed how the majority of the money economy is really a values economy. That could be something like the aesthetics of a religious, church or temple or monastery, and and it can be the interior design of your house, or whether your community runs more on cars or bicycles or public transit. These are all values. These are not raw survival questions. And understanding that, a lot of people have used capitalism to uh, create new values in our culture. And these discussions can often be very hard for people like us who care about the environment, who care about animals, and we see the injustice. And the thing is that we're only now beginning to see uh, businesses that share our values emerge into the larger economy. And a lot of these kinds of enterprises have been really relegated to the boutique level. And boutique level companies are great. Vegan Launch is designed to allow for the finance of that. But if we're really looking at the mass enslavement and torture of animals, this came from a massive application of capitalism. And we have to look for a moment and understand what was done so that we can understand what we can do to replace those values, and in replacing the values, shift the flow of money, the flow of commitment into new ways of life for humanity, and by extension for the animals and the planet and our own health. So if we take a look, McDonald's is the classic example of this. And what they did, they started out in 1955, and the founder bought some burger joints. So McDonald's did not invent the hamburger, but what he did that was innovative at the time was he could see that there was a mega trend happening that had not been really addressed. And the megatrend was that families were becoming more and more urbanized and less associated with farm economies. And the impact of that was that women in particular were becoming isolated at home with the television while their husbands went off to work in the office. And then when the husbands would come home, the wife was expected, the place was supposed to be clean, and dinner is supposed to be on the table, and then the husband ate and then did whatever, sat in front of the TV, and somebody was supposed to clean up, and that was normally the wife. These are broad generalizations, but they were meaningful enough that McDonald's first slogan in their marketing, at least when, in the 60s, when I became conscious, was "You deserve a break today." And that is how McDonald's was built, by isolating out this problem of women working all day and getting very little attention and very little respect for that. And the idea was that if you could go and have a meal out for less than it would cost to cook, and then you wouldn't have to do all the work, and you wouldn't have to clean up either. So you could say they were solving a problem. I would say more that, like so much of Western culture, these are Band-Aid solutions. Nobody wants to look that deeply at the cause of these kinds of problems. Like, why is our society so isolating, and what do we do about that? But a good Band-Aid is a good way to make a lot of money. The Band-Aid for a housewife in in that situation, this is really at the very dawn of the women's equality movement. That sufficed, and that little notion was enough to generate a large amount of cash flow for McDonald's, and then more and more marketing. And what is marketing really? Marketing is a form of mass education. And so if we look out in the world, the way we live now is so much shaped by mass education. So like right now, I'm sitting in front of a computer, and we liked it. I was attracted to the potential of the computer right as they were coming out as personal computers. So how did we learn? We sit around all day with a mouse and we type, and these are major cultural behaviors, right? Our behavior day to day shapes the world. Like if we're going to eat animal products every day, that is a behavior pattern. It's a mass behavior pattern that is continually reinforced through marketing, broad-scale cultural education. So since we understand that the values economy is the majority of cash flow, and now veganism is a new set of values that promises a different type of resolution for some of the deepest challenges facing the planet. Well, if that's the case, then the way to go about it, one way to go about it, is to organize sufficient finances like McDonald's did to be able to provide the kind of large-scale education. And I'm not saying that it necessarily has to be monolithic. A lot of people would like to see can a vegan version of McDonald's compete? And I'm for that. Let's say a chain restaurant with 1,000 locations. I think all things being equal, I'd be for that if they're able to message at scale and really change human behavior, and if the staff is paid well and healthy and likes their work. Now, also, I'm equally in favor of 1,000 individual one-off vegan restaurants and vegan launches designed to be able to finance that, whereas most other financial institutions and enterprises are not well suited for kind of a distributed economy, more distributed type of leadership. So back in the day, there was kind of a catchphrase called "small is beautiful." Small is beautiful, but so is large. I mean, an elephant is large. Large is beautiful. A small bird is beautiful. We don't want to use any kind of just frameworks. We want to look at the real problems. And if we want to save forests, we need to save a lot. If we want to save animals, we need to think big. If we want to transform the dairy industry, that's a $600 billion industry. How are we going to get to scale? Now, fortunately, as you all know by now, there's no shortage of money that's motivated by the values that we hold together as vegans and also as environmentalists who soon to be vegan. And I can say that myself as an environmentalist who finally went vegan and realized what I had missed. And what I missed in terms of effectiveness on my environmental commitments. So here we are now, there's plenty of money. The question then becomes, how do we organize finances so that vegan businesses can be sufficiently capitalized to do the kind of marketing and education? And one of the great things about the vegan launch design, which I'll get into, is by using this new era of public venture capital, even the marketing of the investment offers themselves is an opportunity to educate the public. So we can educate the public about the need for the company before the company even is really large enough to fulfill that need. And this is a huge time saver. It really compresses the time between the education and the readiness and the behavior change. Because again, what did McDonald's do? They couldn't just talk about you need a break today as if that was some kind of a, well, yeah, you need a break today, but how are we going to get it? And so they had to have the capital to build the restaurant down the street so that when the housewives were watching this message on their TV while they're ironing the laundry, I don't own an iron. You might be able to tell that. But anyway, my mom ironed the laundry and she corralled me into it. They ironed the laundry, they watched the soap operas, but just the advertisement wasn't enough. They needed to have the economic entity to receive the money that was symbolizing the family's commitment that the wife have a day off that day and eat at McDonald's. And so it's, this is really one of the challenges of movements as we grow. It's one thing to purely educate, but we need to provide people with the means of expressing those new values so that they become, a habit. And so today, now we're in the habit of destroying the planet, thanks to companies like McDonald's. And we need some new habits. We need to give people something new to do with their lives, such as eat a healthy plant-based diet. We need to provide every kind of thing in that economy so that when people get the message that it's time to go vegan, there's a place for them to express that commitment with their money. And then as that money flows through the economic system, the entities that are receiving that are able to use that cash flow to finance more marketing and grow. And this is how we get a positive snowball, by the use of finance and the ability to educate and also transform the three-dimensional economy. We're educating and transforming the actual actions of people at the same time. And this, in a nutshell, is a very high-level overview of how to do that. As we get deeper into the course, we'll start getting into more and more details of the actual steps that I'm referring to. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.